Do you guys believe there's going to be a big displacement Duramax coming? I'm sure most of you guys saw that TFL did a video saying that there was going to be potentially an 8.3 liter Duramax coming. Somewhere potentially 2026, maybe a little later. We'll have to wait and see. In this video, I'm going to give you guys my opinion of what I think is going to actually happen. I borrowed these trucks from Jerry Seiner, Buick GMC in South Jordan, and Chevrolet here in Salt Lake City. Be sure to check out their inventory. They actually have a lot of trucks at both lots available for sale. And I will be doing a comparison with the SLE and LT sometime soon. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that video. Let's get into it. Let's get a little controversial really quickly. We live in a very woke society right now. If you get offended by what I say, feel free to unsubscribe to my channel. You don't have to tell me, I don't really care. But yes, we live in a very woke society. As you guys see, everyone has decided to get rid of their naturally aspirated V8s, which have big displacements. I feel as though there is no way GM is going to build an 8.3 liter diesel. And here's why. Obviously, a bigger displacement engine is more than likely going to use more fuel because it's going to have to take in more air, which means it's going to obviously burn more fuel, right? So in my humble opinion, the 8.3 liter on paper seems like the most awesome thing. I would love to see them build one. I just don't think that society would allow them to. You also have to keep in mind, they're trying to make the emissions even more stricter on these engines. So how can a 8.3 liter diesel be more efficient? And you have to also consider the weight. A larger displacement engine is going to also have more weight. So how's that going to affect your payload? So here's my thoughts. The 8.3 liter would be the most coolest thing, especially if Republicans win the election this year. That's what we have to be shooting for. If we really want big displacement engines to be a reality again, we have to vote the right way. I'm sorry, I'm just going to tell you right now, there's no way Democrats are going to allow these manufacturers to have fun and make trucks that are meaningful to the consumer. And I think that what TFL was saying was like 600 horsepower, 1,200 plus pound-feet of torque is some of the numbers that they were kind of throwing out there. That would be so cool, and I would definitely be in line for one because I would love to obviously do some towing tests with something like that. But here is my thoughts on the 8.3 liter. Right now, I feel as though Cummins is, under fire right now, right? They're under fire. It would not surprise me if GM is thinking about competing with Cummins by offering a larger displacement engine for medium duty trucks or even class 8 trucks. I mean, 8.3 liter, I think the smallest engine I've seen with Cummins, like in the Peterbilts, was like an 8.9 liter, right? It had about 1,000 pound-feet of torque, what I saw online. So it's very possible that they could be building an engine for class 8 trucks. That would make the most sense right now. But for these trucks, I highly doubt they do build that 8.3 liter for a 2,500 and 3,500 pickup truck. But if GM really is thinking about doing a second diesel option, well, they have a clean slate here, right? The Duramax that they have, this is the Gen 2 L5P in these trucks, right? They did get a horsepower and torque bump. They got some updates to the turbocharger, the combustion. These engines spool a little bit quicker. They put the power down a little bit better. 470 horsepower, 975 pound-feet of torque. Don't get it twisted. These engines definitely have more power. I don't care what they say. It has more power. And I believe that because of some of the 0 to 60 tests I've done in the past. So if GM wants to do a high output Duramax, well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's go. As of right now, GM is the only manufacturer that offers a diesel for the half-ton segment. It is known as the 3 liter Duramax, and guess what? It has an inline 6 design. So why can't the high output Duramax have an inline 6 design? I mean, what are the advantages of an inline 6? Well, for starters, fitment. Can you guys see where that block is under the hood of this truck? Don't even answer that question. Is no, you cannot see it. It is buried under here, and it's because V8s are shorter. So with that being said, it can get buried under all the emissions crap, the intake, and all the other components. With an inline 6, you can see the block a lot easier, and I feel like it's a little bit more easier to work on compared to this V8 configuration. Now obviously with an inline 6, you have less moving parts, right? You don't need the balancers that the V8s need because inline 6s are more balanced. Also, you have to understand something. I feel as though the exhaust brake in the Rams is so much better because of that inline 6 design. I don't know if I'm 100% speaking facts here, but when you compare these two trucks, you have to understand something. Ford and GM trucks have weaker exhaust brakes. Now Ford has fixed theirs for the most part for the 2023-2024 model year, but GM mentioned they improved it for 2024, but it's still very intermittent in comparison. Now obviously I am a inline 6 fanboy, so what are the disadvantages so I can knock myself down a little bit? Obviously the biggest disadvantage to an inline 6 diesel is the RPMs. When you get these GM trucks, Ford trucks, they RPM a lot more compared to the Cummins, and that's in part to the stroke. So inline 6 engines are going to have longer stroke in comparison with the diesel V8s, and that's why I said that's why an inline 6 diesel is going to be taller, so you're going to have obviously more space because everything has to be on the side of the engine, right? The layout's going to be totally different. But with that being said, if you are looking for speed, well, the Cummins ain't fast. And that is in part to Ram's transmission. They are using an Eisen, which is considered a medium duty transmission. So it is very sluggish unloaded, but when you hook it up to a trailer, it's different. It's a lot stronger on the shifts, and it does shift a little bit quicker because it's under load. Now, with the 10-speed Allison in this truck, I feel as though GM would benefit better with their inline 6 because it does have deeper gears in that transmission, and I feel like it puts the power down a lot better, and it doesn't have that issue with speed as much as the Eisen does in the Rams. But I'm acting like this is a reality, and it's not even a reality. Like, I'm getting really excited about something that's probably not going to happen, but hey, if they build an inline 6 Duramax for the HD segment, that would be absolutely awesome. So yeah, I feel as though right now they're using a cast iron block. I feel as though they could use compacted graphite iron as well, which is a little bit lighter, so they could save a little bit of weight here, and they could use some aluminum components to lighten up this engine too. And if they're going to a 6.6 liter high output, I mean, hey, it is a little bit smaller displacement than the 6.7, so it could be a little bit lighter already out of the gate compared to the Ram 2. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope that GM does do a high output and do what Ford did. Don't do what Ram did, do what Ford did. Make it available for the 2500s, this is a 3500, and for the 3/4 ton segment too. Because listen, if the engine is not as heavy, if the transmission is not as heavy, then it could benefit both trucks. But let me know you guys' thoughts. I feel as though an inline 6, maybe even a bigger displacement than the other two, like a 6.8, 6.9, maybe even a 7 liter. 7 liter inline 6 would be kind of cool, but that's a big engine though, so I don't know how they would have to deal with fitment with that. But I really do believe with what they're doing right now with the L5P, this Gen 2 does have the Denso fuel pump and injectors, and I feel as though that's probably one of the better setups here. Now, Ram did go back to the CP3, Ford's still using a CP4. I haven't heard of any failures. I've talked to some of the techs at the Ford dealer, and they haven't had any major failures on the, or not major, they haven't had any failures come through. So I've asked them like maybe a few months ago when I did a video on a Power Stroke, but nevertheless, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. I am excited to see if GM does do anything. This L5P Gen 2 is really good. I think that it puts the power down strong. It does, in my opinion, perform the best loaded and unloaded for mixed driving. Now, obviously, if you're towing heavy, towing a lot, the Cummins in that Eisen is still my favorite. But again, if you're not doing hot shot, if you're not doing a lot of cross-country travel, these are truly the best trucks to tow with. I feel like they're very efficient and the transmissions are very smooth. I haven't had any issues. I've had, what, 4 Allisons? I think, hold on, 1, 2, I've had so many trucks now, I don't even know how many trucks I've had. But I think I've had 4 Allisons, and they've all shifted pretty consistently with the exception of the one I have now, which is the AT4X. It's a 2500, it has 11.5 inch ring gear. I don't really like that truck as much as the last ones I've had. My dually was my favorite. Even with the 37s, that truck performed the best. You guys saw 0 to 60 I did. That truck beat my 2500. And that's with 37s. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna ramble anymore. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that GM should build a inline 6 high output, or should they just stay with the V8? Also, are you upset about what I said about Democrats? Democrats suck. When it comes down to emissions crap, it's not to help the environment, it's probably just to sue the manufacturers for not following their rules. That's probably why they did it, and that's probably why they add these stupid rules on the emissions on these diesels. But I wonder if Joe Biden's Cadillac, or whatever that thing is called, I wonder if that thing has emissions controls. Doubt it.